What a beautiful day. I've just arrived at Jamestown, the old Jamestown settlement. What a wonderful drive I had from Richmond on some back roads. A lot of water, a lot of trees, a lot of plantations. I'm not quite ready to do plantations yet, but it's just beautiful. My first stop on a trip down the East Coast, and I'll be showing you some of the places I've been to. The last time I was in Jamestown I was 16, so that was 51 years ago. So some of the places I'm going to, I visited many years ago on a cross-country trip, and I'm just going back to see what happened. These ships are docked over at a place called Jamestown Settlement. That's actually where I went as a kid. And I didn't realize there were two Jamestowns. So where I ended up today was the actual settlement, not the reproduction. This was the first English settlement in the New World. The Spanish and French had explored the southern areas, but the English claimed this spot. In 1994, they began to do some archaeological work here and have found the walls and the sites of some buildings, but everything was made out of wood, so they have to go by the holes left in the ground. What you're seeing is the exterior wall of the triangular fort that they built. It's about an acre of land in between those walls. This was the home of the Powhatan Indians, and they did not welcome the settlers. There is no Thanksgiving story here. Of the 104 men and boys who landed in 1607, about 30 of them survived the first winter. Those that didn't die from Indian attacks succumbed to disease and starvation. But that didn't stop England from sending more, and a few years later, they had another massive die out of this colony. The video in the visitor center goes to extremes to let you know that among those early settlers were African slaves. And they give credit to the Native Americans as well. The chief of the Powhatan Indians had a daughter named Pocahontas. I'm sure you've heard her name. And most of her story was told by John Smith, who was known to be a big liar. Pocahontas was married and had a child when she was kidnapped from her village, separated from her child, and her husband murdered. She was subsequently raped, possibly many times, and bore a son out of wedlock before she finally married John Rolfe. Rolfe was hoping to cultivate tobacco. They needed a cash crop to save the colony. The Powhatan Indians held the secret of how to cure tobacco. Knowledge was considered sacred by the Indians, and they did not share it freely. So Rolfe's marriage to Pocahontas facilitated them finally showing the colonists how to preserve the tobacco. Moving further south, I was heading to South Carolina and the Hippie Fest. I signed up for this event in February, and then I gave up the idea of coming, but then realized I was going right by it, so I said, what the hell? I went ahead and set up. So Hippie Fest is like a craft fair with a hippie theme. There was a lot of food vendors and craft vendors, of course. They also sold alcohol, so it was quite festive as the day went on. I would say that the buyers came out in the morning, and the rest of the day was the eaters and drinkers and gawkers. Everybody seemed to have a good time, and I was glad that I did go. The next day, I headed to my camping spot at Myrtle Beach State Park and drove through downtown Myrtle Beach. And stuff. So it just makes me sad. The last time I was here was 40 years ago, and there was none of this, of course. You could see the ocean as you drove up the street. And it was a pretty small town. They did the same thing to Ocean City. It's just wall-to-wall high-rises. To me, coming back and seeing this, it was just as sad as Bombay Beach. Myrtle Beach State Park. Looks lovely so far. So there is a $5 fee to get into the park, but not if you're camping, so just let me come on through. It's quite a long drive in, but I made it. This is a really nice state park. They had laundromats. They had plenty of bathhouses, over 200 campsites. They could have been a little more spacious. And to me, it was expensive. It's $40 a night, but it is a short walk down to the beach. You see that little white house there? That's a cabin. The ranger station near there. And that's about how far it is visually from me. And then you just walk down the sidewalk. And there's the ocean. That's not too bad at all. You can see how far out the waves break. So shallow water didn't bother me any because I just go in, get wet, and go lay down on the towel. I did find it odd that there weren't any shells on the beach and no seagulls. No life of any kind that I saw. No little crabs, nothing. I don't know if you can see, maybe you can, the differentiation between the brown and then the green further. So I assume that's sand all the way out there. The state has preserved 1 mile of beach that's not developed, but human life was really the only thing I saw. It just wasn't very good beach weather. So one day I went and took some tours of plantations, and that's what I'll show you in the next video.